Hey there, this is James Darknell from the Foundry. In this series of videos, I'll be covering all the basics of using the new Mesh Fusion workflow introduced in Modo 10.2. If you haven't yet watched the Getting Started video, I highly recommend you do that for solid overview of the Mesh Fusion changes. In this video, I'll specifically be covering these duplication tools right here. So the Mesh Fusion 10.2 update was really about improving the workflow with Mesh Fusion. One of the things you often need to do is to duplicate meshes. So instead of having to duplicate an item and then add it to the Mesh Fusion and then set its role, we've created these duplicate buttons to really make that a lot easier. So if you select an object right here, the first button is the duplicate primary, and that will duplicate the object, keep it as part of the existing Mesh Fusion object, and make it a primary as the role. So if I click on that button with my object selected, I can move this right away, and we want to move that out of the way right away because Mesh Fusion doesn't like concurrent faces, polygon faces that are exactly right on top of each other. And you can see now that we can move this object around, and it is a primary. So one click we are able to duplicate that object. And now I will demonstrate the other ones. Let me undo this a couple times here. Alright, so now we have the duplicate and subtract button. So if I click that and then I move my mesh down, you see it doesn't appear as anything has happened, and we don't assume that what the relationship is going to be the same as the source object. So that is something that you'll need to define. So if I have that selected and then I select my barrel, we can then go in there and select that as a trim object now. So you still need to define the relationship between two objects when doing that. So I will undo that again really quick. So the third one here is a duplicate as an intersection. So if we click on that, then we can move this. Same thing like for the trim. So if I were to go and select that, we need to set a relationship for those objects. And the last button here, this will duplicate a mesh as a non-fusion object. So now when you move that around, you see that as a non-fusion object on there. So those are the duplicate options introduced in Mesh Fusion for Modo 10.2. Thanks for watching.